Hi everybody and welcome to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. My name is Rob Evans and I'm your weight loss coach, health strategist and internationally published author, helping take your life, your business, your health, your fitness, mindset and body from where you are right now to where it is that you want to be. And if you were listening in yesterday, I said, I'm going to record that tomorrow. Well, tomorrow is here. And today we're going to have a bit of fun. You're going to have a laugh at my expense. I'm going to talk about some of my love life, and it's full of laughter, I tell you. And I'm going to talk about some of my dating site dramas and fun, and you'll probably by the end of this be lying on the floor laughing your head off. So I'm single right now, and a bit of background. I've got two kids. I've had a 20-year, relationship, dating / marriage with the girl's mum. I've only really had a few girlfriends, and so I've been divorced now. It would be over eight and a half years, and I've had three in fact, since I was divorced. The most recent one lasting 3 years. Ones before that, about 18 months, maybe, something like that. And so I found myself from a young age trying to, be like everybody else. And when I was in high school, that was when I first discovered the interesting girls, and I don't remember exactly what age, I don't know, 13, 14, 15, something like that. And people around me started to be having girlfriends, and I thought, how do you get one of those? And they just seemed to have it happen naturally for them, and I couldn't quite work out why I didn't have one. And that's when you start to inward reflect about, what's wrong with me? Why do they get a girlfriend and I don't? And then I realised that you had to talk to people in order to be able to, get a conversation going, to see if somebody was going to like you. I wasn't really sure how to start conversations going. So I figured, well, maybe that's why they have girlfriends and I don't. And that I soon also worked out that, actually, you're the shortest person in the school, meaning that all the girls are taller than you as well. And I started to develop some self-confidence issues because of the way that I looked. I didn't like the fact that I was such a tiny, tiny boy. I was small, as in short, but I was also small. I was just tiny. And I also realised that wasn't really attractive to girls. People didn't want tiny little boys to be their, boyfriends. I thought, okay. Right. And then because I didn't like my face, I had a big birthmark on my face, I chipped a tooth, I had this sort of weird, longish kind of hair that I didn't know what to do with to look good. So I didn't really have very much self-confidence. And there's this high school photo, how you have the class photos. And this probably summed me up pretty well. So we had to wear school uniform, and our uniform for girls, it was I don't know, what do you call it, a dress, a one-piece, dress that the girls wear for school uniforms. And theirs was a blue and white fine stripe, and the boys, it was grey pants, black shoes, and a white collared shirt. And in winter, you could wear something else, you could wear your jumper and all that kind of stuff. This particular day, I think it was year 8, maybe, photos. Everybody's in uniform and they're wearing their, as I said, the boys, white shirts, grey pants. And there's me in a blue skivvy which was part of the winter uniform that you were allowed to wear. So, like a turtleneck, is that what you call it? With long sleeves. And that's me. And because I was so small, they always used to put me right in the middle of the photos, sitting in the front row with the girls, either holding the sign for the class or the the sign was on the floor or something, and I was sitting right in the middle. That's where I seemed to end up. But that was pretty much, I just looked different. I was, a square peg trying to fit in a round hole. So, needless to say, I didn't get a girlfriend during high school. Very low self-confidence. Wasn't really having many conversations, and by the time I got to about year 8, year 9, I started to have conversations. I had this phrase that would come back to me: I just want to be friends. So, right, is that what you say to somebody that you really are not interested in dating at all, without trying to just say, I really don't think I'm attracted to you? So anyway, I went through all my high school and really battling to find anyone that was interested in me. And I got to my working career, so no girlfriends, bottom line. I got to start to working. I went to university, no girlfriends there. Asked a couple of people out, no, not interested. Thought, okay, let's just focus on the study side. Then came to Melbourne to work from, I lived in a little, well, not a little country town, depends on your part of the world, I suppose. Had a population at the time, I think of about 70,000 people. It's about 2.5 hours away from where I live right now. Came to Melbourne for work, thought, well, work was the priority. I wanted to become a chartered accountant, get my career established, all that kind of stuff. And I met some people that, I liked, but they were in relationships, so, I wasn't interested. And so I just kept going through life. And I remember this one year, they had this event here, which I don't know that they have it anymore, but one of the big radio stations at the time, they put on this event that was called the Desperate and Dateless Ball. So the idea was that you needed to be not in a relationship, and it was before internet days, so you would have to fill out a form, a questionnaire that had a whole bunch of questions about getting to know you. So I imagine if you were on a dating site these days, those types of questions, but obviously the dating sites go into a lot more detail now. And there was a group of us at work, I think it was about 6 guys. We all said, why don't we do it? I said, I've never done it and I'd never do it by myself, but given that they're doing it, let's all do it. So we filled out our forms, posted them off, and then it was within about, a week to 10 days, you would get a response from the organisation. And what they would do is they would then match you with someone. And what they would do is just give you a name, like a first name, and their phone number. So it wasn't like Facebook didn't exist, so you couldn't go looking for people's details on social media, etc. It was just a phone number and stuff. And then it was up to you whether you called them or not. And the idea was that you called them, you agreed to meet and get to know each other, and then go out on the date and get dressed up. It was a formal thing. And so time went by and people started to get their responses. And anyway, they didn't all come through at once, but over the course of a few days, everybody got their letters back, and they got the details of their person, they'd rung them, etc., etc. And so 2 weeks went by and I hadn't got my letter back. And I checked with everybody and they said, we got ours. I said, I haven't got mine. And so I rang them up and I said, look, I haven't got a response. I said, okay, we'll check. And they put you on hold, they checked their system and they said, we can see that you're here. I said, great. I said, can you tell me the details of the person I've been matched with and whatever? All right, so we just paused there for a moment. This was an event where they would get something like, I'm going to say 20,000 to 30,000 people that would, send their details in. And it was a huge event. And so like I'm talking the tens of thousands of people that would go to it. And they said, yes. And they said, yeah, look, we haven't been able to match you with anyone. And I'm just stunned. I said, what do you mean? You haven't been able to match me with anyone? And they said, well, how did you answer your questions? And I said, well, what do you mean? I just answered them the way that I thought was what I, who I was and what I was looking for. And then they started to question me as to, well, did you say this or did you say that? And I said, well, no. I said, I put on there, I said, look, for instance, I don't smoke. So I said, no smoking. And I said, look, I don't drink alcohol, but I didn't say that I wanted somebody that didn't drink alcohol. I just had to, say who you were, what you were looking for in a partner, whatever. And they said, no, sorry, we couldn't match you. And I said, weren't there like 10,000 people or 10,000 girls or something? And they said, yeah. I said, what, so you couldn't match me with anyone? I said, no, sorry. And I'm like, okay. And I said, my other 5 or 6 friends, however many it was, it might have been 5 others, so I was making 6. I said, look, they've all been matched with people. I said, can I still go? And they said, no, sorry. I'm like, what? So I've hung up the phone and I've had to go tell these guys, and they were just cracking up laughing. I said, I don't understand. Out of all those people, they couldn't match me with one person. And so at this point, I'm starting to have some things reinforced from my childhood that perhaps I'm a little bit different from everybody else. And maybe I'm just that square peg that nobody is interested in. So I wasn't able to go. And they went and had a good time, and none of their relationship, the people they were with ended up turning into relationships. I think from what they said, they ended up meeting the person, and then they both agreed to go their different ways on the night. So it's like, oh, okay. So anyway, so that was my first attempt at serious dating, really putting myself out there. So then, obviously, it wasn't too long after that I actually met I had a girlfriend, and that one lasted for about 18 months, and then I met my ex-wife. And so we were together for 20 years, and obviously we had I'll say we had a really good life. We still get on really well together by virtue of the kids. I guess if we didn't have kids, we wouldn't see each other, but we have kids, so very respectful, very supportive, very loving type of relationship. But there's not the romantic love there, it's different. So that continues to be a good relationship, but not in a romantic sense. And so I mentioned that I've been divorced for about 8.5 years now. And so I decided to get back in the dating game after I got divorced. And so I joined this dating site over here after a number of my clients who had met via this site and then got married said, you've got to get into this particular one. Now, there's lots of dating sites. There's ones like Tinder, for instance, and other ones where they basically just seem to be hooking up for sex, and that's just not me. I was looking for a long-term, committed relationship, not just something for the physicality of things. And so one of the ones that was recommended to me here is called eHarmony. And so it was advertised as being for the more serious person, etc. So I go through the exercise of basically writing a CV about yourself on these dating sites. And man, it's tough. It is really tough. And I ended up, I talk about coaching. Well, you need coaching through this too. And I ended up finding a guy that had written this good book on how to write your social media profile. And I found it really good. I can't remember the name of the guy. I'll be able to find in my details somewhere. I ended up getting his book. And I ended up writing to him, and I got a response back from him because it really did help build my confidence online about creating this a truthful profile, but one that was different to others, one that would stand out a little bit more. And so I put it up there, and what I quickly worked out was that, so I'm 166 centimetres tall, so I'm not a tall guy. And so that's about 5'5", I think, between 5'5", 5'6" maybe in the feet scale. You quickly worked out that people were looking for, no matter what size they were looking for a man that was, I think the shortest I saw was about 5'10" through to 6 foot plus. That's what they were looking for. Because they would actually say it in their profile. And what's interesting about that is, I guess, women are looking for, I'm really generalising here, so, but most women are looking for a bigger person that can protect them, I guess, or that feel of protection. I guess that's how it works. It's very rare to see a taller woman dating a shorter guy. And so my experience quickly turned into people that were indicating to me that I was too short, and at the time that I was looking for it, I was on the side. So 8 years ago. So I'm 52 right now, so 44, something like that. It was people in their 30s that were looking for people. So I was too old and lived too far away. I live, most of them were close to the city. I live about 75 kilometres away from the centre of the city of Melbourne. And so I wasn't having that much success. But I did have some success. And this is where some of the funny stories come into it, although they weren't that funny at the time. The first one was this lady, and the way that it works, anyone that's been on these dating sites knows what I'm talking about, but just bear with me for a moment for those that don't. So just to protect each person's anonymity, when they match you with somebody every day, so you fill out a profile of who you are, and based on age and whatever, and then you get some questions that you get to pick from in terms of, how far away can the person live from you? What are you comfortable in terms of how far are you prepared to travel? And I think I put mine 25 to 50 kilometres, something like that, away from me, knowing that I was living a fair way away. You get to pick the age, all that kind of stuff, and there's some other characteristics as well. I mean, I'm not talking, not being rude or anything like that, not those sorts of questions, but just, typical questions you might say, what sort of person you're looking for, interests and that kind of stuff. And so then they match you, and they send you, eHarmony, I think they would send you at least 4 matches a day. And so you get matched with this person, you can check out a bit about their profile, and then you get to ask them, I think it's 3 questions, and you can ask them 3 questions from a drop-down list of, I'm going to say 5 or 6. Maybe it's a little bit more, because it's been years since I was on it. And so that's so you don't get to free text, so it's making it tasteful. So it might be questions like, and these aren't going to be right because I can't remember exactly, but it might be, I don't know, what's your favourite pastime to do? What do you do to relax? Maybe a favourite movie, or just some fun sort of things. So icebreakers, conversation starters, and then you can either send them or you can receive them from the person, and then you answer, and then from there you get to go back with some other questions, and then I think after the 3rd lot you get to have free text type questions where you can tell the person a little bit more about yourself. And so the way that I used to do it was, if I'm having a conversation with one person, I'm not trying to have a conversation with 4, because it's hard work. It takes a lot of effort to have all these different conversations. And I'm not just like that sort of person, let's just have conversations with 6 people and pick the best one. I was like, okay, well, this person's been nice enough to show some interest, so let's just have a conversation with them. So I would do that, and this particular lady, I started having a conversation with her, and she was telling me a bit, about herself. I was sharing some of my information, and she was in the city, and I had just come out of a relationship. Oh, well, no, that's not true. It was probably 12 months after I'd come out of a relationship, and she was on the other side of the city, and I was doing most of the travelling. So a long distance one was starting to put me off a little bit, because I thought, gee, I know what it was like last time. It just wears me down. Like, it's 2 hours travel each way. Peak hour, it's a whole other story. It's really tough. And she worked in the city. So, I said, look, are you prepared to travel? Because this is where I live, etc., etc. And she said, oh, it could be a bit of a problem, but maybe. She said, why don't we, catch up or something like that? And she said, I've really got a thing for bald men. And I'm like, I'm not bald. And she kept going on about really liking bald men and whatever. And I'm like, I've got short hair because I cut it short. I'm not bald. And so anyway, nothing ended up happening there. I think she ended up changing her mind and ended up blocking me for whatever reason. I might have said something about, I'm just not sure about the distance, because, it was such a long way away. So the bald man lady, that we didn't end up going out on a date. From there, I had this other lady that I got matched up with, and I really started to question the algorithm, because I said, like I said, I think it was about 25, 50 Ks max, which the city was obviously too far. And I got matched with this lady that's in Geelong. Now, if you are in Melbourne, Geelong from where I am now is probably a 2.5 hour trip away. And even as the bird flies, it's more than 50 kilometres. And anyway, I thought it was a mistake, and I quickly worked out that they were just matching me based on age, I think. And so maybe there were fewer people in their algorithm that were out my way, and so they're just matching me with anyone. And so I said to this lady, I thought maybe it was a typo or something, and anyway, I got to know a little bit about her, and I think it was in the first free text type questions we could ask. I established that, yes, she definitely lived in Geelong. She had like 2 or 3 kids. She certainly didn't have any intentions of moving. And I said to her, look, I live out here. I said, I've got 2 kids too. I said, my business is out here. I said, how would you see it working? I said, look, I have been in a longer distance relationship before. And I said, look, it's really not what I'm looking for. It's a bit impractical. What do you think? And she came back, she blocked, first of all, she just ranted at me and said that, well, if that's going to be your attitude, then I'm not interested. And I'm like, I'm just trying to start a conversation here. And then she blocked me. I'm like, what? What is wrong with you? How could you not see that this might be an issue, travelling all this way? But then I was working out that some people were into the site for a different reason than me, and maybe relationship was not necessarily what they were after. And so that was her. I then started to, a little while later, had this conversation with this lady. She seemed quite nice. She sounded like, she was into her fitness and taking care of herself. And she was into, like cooking and stuff. And I thought, okay, this is somebody that's interested in cooking, thinking about, maybe we could share some healthy recipes and do all that kind of stuff. And we had a few conversations online. And I thought, okay, well, yeah, let's just not get too excited. Let's just go to the next step. And then we started having a few phone conversations. And she sounded nice, really bubbly, excited, and whatever. Anyway, so we didn't plan anything. We were just having a couple of conversations. And I think we had the first conversation. Thought, okay, yeah, she seems nice. Happy to have another conversation. So we organised another time to have a chat. And anyway, I think it was on the second conversation I had with her, she was telling me how she threw in this line. She said, "Oh, my mum loves you." And I'm like, "Excuse me? What do you mean?" He said, "Oh, I was telling Mum all about you." She said, "Oh, she's got me married off to you already. She loves this, she loves that." I'm like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" I'm thinking, why are you saying all this to your mum? We've only just had one conversation. I thought, wow, okay, the red flags and sirens were going. I'm thinking, okay, this seems a little bit unusual. Anyway, so I thought, okay, look, give somebody the benefit of the doubt, because the last person I dated, when we first started having a conversation, I thought, you know, when you just get all these preconceived ideas about people, and it wasn't until I met her and got to know her better that I realised that, yeah, don't be so judgmental and just, you know, go with it. And I thought, look, give this lady the benefit of the doubt. She seems nice and maybe she's just super keen. And why not? It's me after all. That's what I thought. So we arranged to go on a date. Up to this point, this was the first date, actual date, I'd been to through this site. And so it just happened to be the way that year fell was on Valentine's Day. So I said, what if we do something for Valentine's Day? And I want to take her to, one of my favourite estates, which is, a National Trust heritage site here. And it's called Ripon Lane. Really, really beautiful place, lovely gardens. It's got a mansion and all that kind of stuff. I said, what if we go there and we have a picnic? And I said, look, because, you don't know me, I won't come to your place to pick you up. I said, I'm happy to drive, but let's not meet at your place just so I don't know where you live and to make you feel safe, etc. So we arranged to meet somewhere. And up to this point, over the couple of conversations that we had, I noticed that because you get to find out people's height, her height was the same as mine, just coincidentally. And I said to her, look, I said, in the past, I've found that people have had an issue with my height. I said, have you seen how tall I am? And she said, yeah, you're the same height as me. I said, yeah, is that a problem for you? She said, no. I said, okay, great. And I said, look, this is what's happened in the past, blah, blah, blah. She said, no, it's fine. So we get to the date, right? And so I got there a little bit early, waiting for her to come. We met in a car park of some public place. And anyway, so I get there, I get out of the car, go to walk over to her. She gets out of her car. She turns around, she faces me, she comes over and she says this, "Oh, you are short, aren't you?" And I'm like, are you serious? Talk about a way to make a great first impression. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, is that the way you greet somebody? We had a specific conversation about my height and you said that you didn't have a problem with it. And so for the rest of the day, I had a nice time. Like, I was like, okay, well, clearly this girl is not into me. And for the rest of the afternoon, we spent about 5 hours together. I had a good time. And she kept saying to me, "Oh, why can't I meet someone like you?" And I'm like, hello, I'm right here. Anyway, needless to say, after that date, we got back to the car and I said, look, I had a really good time. Thanks for coming. I hope you had a good time too. Look, if, I can't exactly remember what I said, but it was something like about sharing, if she was interested in seeing me again, then, maybe I'd reach out to her in a couple of days. A few days later came and she told me that she was actually dating someone else. So she'd met somebody else on eHarmony. She was dating me and him on different days. And I thought, wow, I'd never do that to somebody, but plenty of people do. And she said she's basically gone out with him. I thought, oh, okay. Well, that's life, isn't it? And I thought, how dare you tell me that I'm too short after we've had the discussion and you said you were okay? Did you not realise what looking in the mirror and being the same height as you looked like? But anyway, that was her. Years later, she reached out to me on my Instagram account and asking me what my relationship status was, because clearly hers didn't work out and so forth. And guess what? No second chance. If you didn't want to date me before because I was too short, I'm not just going to be somebody's second best. So anyway, that's the way that one worked out. And then the next one was, and this will be my last one in this space, was I met this lady, and this is where you have to be careful. People do not put their most recent pictures on their account. And so this particular lady, I thought, oh yeah, she kind of looks familiar in someone. You know, sometimes you look at a photo and they kind of look familiar. And she looked nice. Anyway, we started having some conversations. We seemed to have a lot in common. Started having a conversation on the phone. And after, I think it was the first conversation, she said, I think I know you. And she said, did you used to work at, I'll protect her anonymity. She said, did you used to work here? And I said, yeah, I did. And she said, I was, this person is very high up in the organisation. And I said, I thought that was you. I said, I looked at your photo and you looked familiar, but I couldn't place where it was. And for some reason, I thought that location was, there was something, but I couldn't place you. And that was funny. So we shared some old stories and whatever. And anyway, we just had a few conversations. We had about 2 or 3 chats on the phone. And we were organising a time to catch up. I said, look, let's just get together for, go out for lunch or something. She said, look, before we do that, she said, there's probably something I need to tell you. And I'm like, geez, what am I going to get here? And she said, look, you're going to be the first man that I've ever dated. I'm like, oh, okay. I said, okay, haven't you had a date before? She said, yeah, but they're normally girls. I'm like, oh, right. Because we were talking about, at some point, different relationships and past relationships and stuff. And never at any point did I think to connect the fact that it could be a same-sex relationship. Not that there's anything wrong with that, obviously. But, of course, I didn't realise that that's what she was talking about, but she didn't say it. And I said, oh, okay. And she said, yeah, look, she said, you would be the first man that I've ever been with. I'm like, okay, you're not being with me yet, so let's not jump the gun yet. And I thought, right, okay, so here I am. I'm going to be some sort of experiment for you. And so she said to me, a lot of the girls that I've been with in the past have been quite masculine, so I feel like this would be kind of an easy transition. I'm like, what? Are you serious? So anyway, I wanted to be a gentleman. She said, oh, how do you feel about that? And I said, oh, yeah, look, that's fine. Inside, I'm thinking, man, this is a lot to take on. And anyway, I said, look, I'm still happy to, go on a date with you. I didn't want to say no because, you just never know, hey? I'm open to, new friendships and stuff. So we go on the date, and this is where the moment where I realised that people really have been a bit deceptive with their photos. And she walks in, and without a shadow of exaggeration, I thought my mum was walking in the door. And I thought, oh, golly, how old was that photo that you posted online? So anyway, we had a nice connection, just a friendship. I could not see it going anywhere beyond a friendship. And we went on, I think we caught up a couple of times after that, but we agreed, I think in a day or so, we caught up on the phone again and both agreed that, look, why don't we just, have a friendship rather than anything else? And we were both sort of happy with that. But after that, I decided that eHarmony was not for me. I've only given you the highlights there, but I just said, you know what, I'm not going to meet somebody on this site. This is just too crazy for me. I'm going to stop now. And it was after that I realised that I needed to establish some confidence from within me. Because you can see how from early teenage years through to the person saying, look, you're too short, for many, many years I'd had an issue with my height and how tall I am, and the fact that, I'm not going to be dateable for a lot of women because they're taller than me and they want somebody that's 6 foot. I'm never going to be 6 foot. So what I thought was, I need to create this confidence from within me so that I know who I am. And I think this is the biggest challenge that we have. So if you're listening to this now and you're single and you're thinking, look, there's a part of me that's missing in my life, and you feel like you've been rejected a lot in your life, because that was my badge of victimism for many, many decades. Well, I shouldn't say very many decades. I guess it was two decades I felt that way, where people were judging me because of my height and not ever giving me a chance to look within me. And so that's why I thought this online dating is never going to work for me, because people are going to look at me, whether they see me as attractive or not in my face. As soon as they find out how tall I am, they're like swiping left. They're not interested. It's like, I'm not going to date a short guy. That's most people. They want somebody that's taller. So every person that I've ever dated, their previous partners have been 6 foot or more. But what does that prove? It just proves that I'm dateable and that there are people out there that like me. But what I had to do was create the confidence from within and realise that, just because you're basing it on height, that's like me basing you on height, or you on your, whether you're slim or whether you're overweight, or whether you have blonde hair or dark hair or certain coloured eyes. That doesn't open you up to the opportunity of who the person is. So I spent many years, and still do, working out who I am and what it is that I want in myself and in my life. And that doesn't necessarily have to be another person in there with it. But you've got to know what's important to you. And I've really worked that out for me. And if it's for qualities that I look in a partner, then I've really been able to work out what's important to me. What are the musts? What are the must-nots? And then what are those things that you're willing to compromise on? Because you're never going to find that perfect person that's 100% ticking all your boxes. But you've got to work out what, I guess, is the 80%. And like Dr. Phil says, find the person that's 80% of what it is that you're looking for, and build the 20% with them. And look, I'm still single, and I'm happily single. And I guess I haven't been able to find that connection with that person yet, but I'm not looking. I'm dedicating really the next couple of years of my life to my kids and my business and the things that are important to me, rather than a relationship. Just because I've got a lot going on for my kids and they need a lot of support right now. But the other thing that I realised that I needed to do, because for probably 20 years or more, I thought for me to be a complete person, I needed to be loved by somebody. I needed to be with a partner, because I felt like I'd been rejected so much before, that I needed to be with somebody so that I could feel loved and I could feel more confident in who I am. Which, if you stand back and you look at that statement, it sounds stupid, but that's how I used to feel, because no one teaches you any other way. But I want to say to you right now that if you want to live a really fulfilled life, then the love has to come from within you. Because unless you love yourself first and you learn to love all the things about you, then that's not going to attract the right person into your life. And so I came up with a way to feel loved. And that was when I give love to others, then I feel loved. Now, how you might say, how do you give love when you're not in an intimate relationship? Well, obviously, an intimate relationship, then there's a physical way to be giving that love. But love can mean different things to different people. And for me, love is like love to my kids. If I'm supporting my kids, I'm loving them, I'm doing things with them, I'm nurturing them, then that's a form of love coming out of me to give to them. When it comes to my clients, where I feel love to them is where I'm giving them knowledge, inspiration, education, transformational success. That's me giving love to them. When it's my friends, same thing. It's having conversations, it's spending time, it's doing all that kind of stuff. That's me giving love. If I want to do it to the broader audience, that's me sharing content. Like right now, that's me giving love out to the world. So what can I control? If I feel loved by doing those things, then if I want to feel more loved, then I give more. And so I'm in 100% control of that all the time. And I've just attached my definition of feeling loved to that. Now, if I'm in a loving relationship with somebody, of course, that's another way to feel loved. But I don't have that in my life, so I have to find it through other ways. And that's the way that I do it. And when I did that, my state of happiness really started to change because I was no longer looking for that feeling from someone else. It was coming from within. And for so long, I was relying, waiting for someone else to come along and be with me, to tell me the things that I wanted to hear, to be with me, hold my hand, hug me, be intimate, whatever, do all of those things. I felt that unless I had that, I would not be a complete person. I wouldn't feel loved, and that would make me feel unfulfilled. But that's not true. That's only part of who you are. You can control how loved you are by just attaching a different interpretation to it. And that's how I did it. And that's how I live each day now. And perhaps one day, maybe I will meet that person that doesn't think that I am too short. They don't think I'm bald, but they like my short hair. They don't live too far away. They don't think I'm too short. And they love me for just who I am. Maybe. We'll find that right connection one day. But anyway, I find it funny when I look back and look at all the different stories and stuff that I've had. I'm not getting back onto the online dating scene, that's for sure. That's just not the way that I'm meant to meet somebody, I don't think. But each step of the way is a step in your journey, isn't it? And what it did for me is taught me a whole bunch about myself. How I'm perceived online, and the fact that how judgmental people are. And the older that people get, so like partners that would be suitable for me, obviously are getting older as well. And once they get to that older age, they've got kids, maybe they've been scorned by one partner or multiple partners, become a bit cynical about men, and it becomes tougher. And men can be the same way as well. But so what it's done is it's taught me a lot about me. It's taught me a lot about what people are looking for in relationships. But best of all, it's taught me how I've built my own self-confidence and that ability to, have that love come from within you. And that's really exciting. So I hope you've had some fun at my expense today. And put some more love out in the world, because there can never be too much love, can there? All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Wow, this was way longer than I thought. I just looked at how long it was. Sorry about the length of time, but maybe you've taken something away from today. See you tomorrow.